I'd love to turn it over to our guest speaker, Candace Barrett. She is here to talk about her journey, and she has such courage and resilience, and I really want you all to listen closely, and I really want you all to let it resonate, because the first time that I listened to Candace, I definitely had a change of heart, and my mind really started to think more dearly and closely about those that are living unhoused on our streets. And so we intentionally sought out to have someone like Candace here, so that all of you, I would like to say, are going to be woken up and to truly understand what it's like and how hard it is, but also that there is light, and there are organizations like We See You San Diego that can help. So without further ado, I'd love to have Candace come up and share her story.
Good afternoon. So, thank you for the introduction. As she said, my name is Candace Barrett, and I work for an organization called We See You San Diego. Now, I'm sure to the vast majority of you guys, you have no idea who I am and what our organization does. And in order to fully understand that, I'd like to tell you a story. This story is going to be hard to hear. I lived a very hard life. It was brutal, actually. In this next picture, at the age of 4, and I'm the one standing right there behind my father, I had already been severely beaten, publicly shamed and humiliated by my mother. This next picture, I was 7 years old, and I'm just under my father, and I had just been raped. I had been rejected. This was the last picture that I took with my family, because directly after this, I was abandoned. After the abandonment, I was under the control of a very cruel and violent woman who then labeled me obnoxious, bad, no good, fat, stupid. The list goes on. I came into agreement with every single one of those labels, and by the age of 13, I was a blackout drunk. By the age of 16, I was suicidal and experienced my first girl's home. By 17, I was into party drugs such as ecstasy, coke, weed, acid, and by 19, I was a full-blown crackhead. For the next 25 years, I chose a path of crime, violence, and drug addiction, which landed me multiple incarcerations, over 30 to be exact. And then I went on a crime spree from the East Coast to the West Coast, living in 9 different states. And in those 9 different states, I lived in multiple cities and multiple towns in those states. In every single one of those states and towns, I was either run out of or I run from. You see, one of my many self-preservation techniques to survive the moment or the situation was to become what the situation recalled in that moment. I could become any given person at any given moment, and what that created was a con artist. I had created so many different personalities and so many lies that I would have to run, and my house of cards would actually fall rather quickly. Come to find out that people weren't nearly as stupid as I thought they were. So that caused me to run. And then through a crack pipe and a whiskey bottle, I came to meet the man who would become my husband, the father of my 2 children, and accompanied me through a crime spree from Virginia to San Diego. And the unfortunate reality of a marriage fueled solely by violence, drugs, and sex is the family dynamic will fail. And in August of 2007, the state of Ohio came in and took my 3-month-old daughter and my 7-year-old son. And this is when I lost my mind. This was the last time I saw my 2 children. And I dove headfirst into mental health depression, where I landed 2 years into a mental health institutions, where I was given even more labels. I was told that I was bipolar, I had an explosive rage disorder, border personality dysphoria disorder, schizophrenia, PTSD and anxiety, and again, the list goes on. I became homeless in 2016 here in San Diego in the summer of 2014. And if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I found it quite liberating. I could finally stop pretending. I had spent my entire life pretending to be somebody that I wasn't. And I thought I had everybody fooled, and the reality was the only person I was fooling was myself. And to be honest, it was completely exhausting. In the first year on the streets, guys, I honestly thought I was having the time of my life. I abandoned all social norms. I believed myself to be a vagabond, a wanderer, a nomad, and I succumbed to complete debauchery. And I loved it. There was no more pretending, and I embraced all the labels I begun to believe, and then I took them to a whole new level. I believed this acceptance of my identity was freedom, and then it all turned on me. The freedom was a lie, and it was a hook. And I spent the next 6 years of my life bound to the prison of homelessness. And no matter what your belief is, it is a prison. It is a vortex into an abyss where I got lost. I actually spent 6 years, longer than I had lived anywhere in my entire life, in the riverbed of San Diego. And if you guys don't know what the riverbed of San Diego is, so what we see daily are the encampments. You see them everywhere. What you don't see is the 200 square miles of riverbed from the Laguna all the way into the ocean. It's 200 square miles of hidden Mad Max underworld society. There is a lot going on down there, and it is a vortex into an abyss. And I actually thought it was some kind of game. I thought I was gonna win, and the reality is it's not a game. Nobody wins. It's cruel, it's punishing, and it's unforgiving. It is literally the end of the line here in America. You cannot go any further south before you end up in Mexico, and you can't go any further west until you end up in the water. And by the time I got to this point, everyone was done with me. With good reason. Not only did I reside with some of the most vile criminals man has ever seen, I became one. You see, I became quite skilled in theft. I was a thief. I was breaking and entering. So there was absolutely nothing that I needed from a resource center or a soup kitchen. And to be completely honest with you, in my perceived mind, most people that came to me with a hand extended came with condemnation and shame. There was nothing they could say to me that I wasn't already saying to myself. And I had experienced enough people that came in the name of God where there was exploitation and victimization. So I wanted nothing to do with your help, and I wanted nothing to do with your God. However, rumor on the streets began about this new organization that was emerging called We See You San Diego. I didn't trust it, I didn't believe it, but every once in a while somebody would tell me they're really different. There's something really different about these people. So one day I had a random encounter with this woman named Laura, the CEO and director of this organization. And the most iconic moment of this, and I was lit. I actually don't remember most of this encounter. I remember two things. That the moment I stood in her presence, I started to cry. And I hadn't cried in over 15 years. So I accused her of being a witch. I did. I accused her of being a witch. I thought she was voodoo hexing me. And I wanted nothing to do with them or their organization. Las Colinas had a revolving door for me. First time I was arrested was in 1995. In 1998, I got my first and only visitor in jail. It was a Navy recruiter who then encouraged me to enlist in the military, or else this was going to be the outcome of my life, which, by the way, on a side note, I did, and I got kicked out because of cocaine. Fast forward to 2018. 30 different incarcerations over 25 years. I never had one visitor. I was all alone. There was nobody coming. There was nobody I was calling. Nobody was putting money on my books, and it was just a fact of life. So imagine my surprise at Las Colinas when my name was called for a personal visit. I was shocked. I said, "You guys have the wrong person. Nobody comes to see me." And when I walked out to the visitor room, there was this woman standing there. She stood about 5'7". She was pregnant and adorable, completely cute. I assumed that she had never been in a jail, much less a courthouse. And she asked me if I remembered her. And being a compulsive liar and able to speak the truth, of course I said yes. And she then reminded me that the encounter that I had had with Laura, she was there. And we talked. And of course, my natural inclination was a con. So I started to convince her to put money on my books because I saw all the commissary everybody was getting and I wanted some chocolate, and she did. One of the other self-preservation mechanisms that I had used in this life was that if I was engaged in a conversation with you, whether it was real or not, I knew you wanted something from me. There was no way somebody was having a conversation with the likes of me and they weren't trying to exploit something out of me. So I was gonna turn it on you. So I had mastered the art of figuring out what you wanted, real or not, and I was gonna turn it on you. And in the 15 minutes that I had this visit with her, I could not, for the life of me, figure out what this woman wanted from me, and she became a pebble in my shoe. Literally, all throughout my jail sentence, I could not figure it out, so I made it my mission. My mission was I was going to show up, that's me, marching through the gate, wanted nothing to do with Laura. I wanted this woman. I wanted to figure out what her game was. I wanted to figure out what her hustle was. These people would end up loving me through humiliation, through shame, through degradation. They would see past my false hard exterior, and they treated me with a foreign dignity. They would remind me of my humanity and my femininity. I'd forgotten that I was a woman. And yet, I still couldn't figure out what they wanted from me. Once again, I'm locked up at Las Colinas, and I was in a jail cell, stewing over this. And in that moment, I realized I was asking the wrong question. It wasn't what they wanted from me. It was what they wanted for me. So then I began to become a regular at these dinners, and I started to dine on their specialty. It was their love. It was the one thing I had unknowingly been searching for my entire life. It's what finally broke through. As I stated before, violence was a very big part of my life. It gave me a false sense of power. It was an addiction. I loved it. And just like my relentless, endless pursuit of drugs, I was constantly looking for a fight. I won some, and I lost some. And sometimes, just because I was a homeless woman, and by whatever reason, society deemed me subhuman, and I would be randomly attacked with no consequences. And on May 12th, 2020, I was attacked under a bridge off Friars Road. When I regained consciousness, I was face down, covered in blood and mud, and I was livid. Livid. Not because I was attacked, because I survived. And as I pushed myself up on my knees, that was the moment I came completely aware of my environment. The fecal matter in the urine hit my senses. And I looked around and I could see for the first time in my life the broken meth pipes, the dirty used needles, the porn magazines, the broken down bike parts, and the heaps of trash, and I knew this was the sum total of my life. So I decided to do something I had never done before. I cried out to God. And it was in that exact moment I remembered that right around the corner was the Tuesday night dinner. And I literally crawled to that dinner. I was physically, spiritually, and emotionally broken. I had been beaten so bad that I had vertigo, broken cheekbone, dislocated jaw, been punched so hard the contacts got knocked out of my eyes, and there was not a shred of fight left in me. And when I approached the gate, I surrendered to the very people who had earned my trust in a life when I trusted nobody anymore. While in recovery, I reunited with my son after 15 years. And all those labels and identities that I came into agreement with, every single one of them, including the mental health disorders, got broken off. one by one. You know what I identify as with today? I've been redeemed, I've been set free, and I am an overcomer. And not only me, that son that was taken at 7 years old, he followed the same path as his mom and his dad, ended up in the riverbed of San Diego, homeless and drug addicted. My life and my family's life has been completely restored. Today, I'm 5.5 years clean, sober, and off the streets. My husband of 25 years is 4 years clean, sober, and off the streets, working as a drug and alcohol counselor. My son just got married and celebrated a year clean. My daughter, on Christmas of 2023, at the age of 16, surprised me at Christmas. I now have a fantastic relationship with my daughter today. It's all because this amazing organization, and let me also say one thing. This life transformation has landed me a condo in Rancho Bernardo with no government assistance. A far cry from a bush. This amazing organization not only saved our life, but it bridged us from death to life. And now that I'm free, it seems only natural to want to help other captives be set free. I know I was called to show my fellow brothers and sisters that are still in bondage the way out. So today, as a full-time employee of We See San Diego, the approach I take is simple. I love the way I was loved. I get to be, what an honor. I get to be a living representation of the transformation that is possible. As long as I have breath in my lungs, I will extend a hand to those that are still lost in addiction and darkness, offering the same hope that was offered to me, all while getting the honor, the privilege, and the joy of walking alongside of them every step of the way. Every Tuesday and every Thursday, We See You San Diego hosts a very lavish dinner party where the guests of honor are the broken, the lost, and the discarded of San Diego. Just like at your homes, relationships are built and trust is established at a dinner table. That's the same thing we do. And we will continue to build these relationships one at a time until they make a decision to allow us to walk them into life transformation. If I can do it, they can do it. I am absolutely living my best life ever, and my best is still yet to come. It is We See You San Diego's goal to see a complete change in what is happening in the streets of our city. Our mission is to see lives transformed among the homeless and addicted. 6-lane freeway here. We're on the lane of addiction. We are going after them with love. You guys, the table is already set. The question is, will you join us? I've seen with my own eyes the line that divides us blurred. I've seen lives on both sides radically changed. We don't believe it's the city or the county or the state's job alone to solve this crisis. We See You creates a space for all of us to do something. I honestly can't even imagine what is possible if everyone in this room said yes in whatever way you feel called to say yes. Thank you for letting me share.